Hey friends, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel Terry and I am the author of 5 fantasy novels. Information will be in the description box down below if you're interested, and that 5th novel is the subject of today's video. If you're not new here, I am sorry I have been gone for so long. I've been meaning to make more videos, but life has just been crazy with work and then trying to prep this 5th book for release, and then I went on vacation in the middle of April, but I am back today to tell you about Beyond the Throne. So Beyond the Throne is my first adult fantasy book, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means in a bit, but first I want to share with you the blurb. Once there were 4 kingdoms, now there is only the Empire. For 1,000 years, Acadia, the Empire of Engines, has reigned supreme unchallenged. Within the capital, a city patrolled by machines, 10 districts lay separated by social standing. While the wealthy enjoy the best of what life has to offer, the poor starve. Only the Resistance, a group of ragtag rebels from all corners of Acadia, dares to challenge the Empire. In recent months, they've been growing bolder, but it's never enough. Leo is a mechanic living and working within the capital. His menial job ensures his family is provided for, but he dreams of giving them a better future. Sky is a rebel who has fought, spied, and killed for the Resistance for the past 11 years. Her only goal is to bring the Empire to its knees, no matter the cost. When fate brings them together, they must decide what is right and what is wrong in the pursuit of freedom, how far each of them is willing to go, and what they must sacrifice along the way. But unbeknownst to Sky and Leo, there is another enemy, more powerful and deadly than any threat posed by the Empire. An enemy who lurks beyond the throne. So that is the blurb for this book. This is a standalone. It is the first book in the Empire of Vengeance duology, but like the Atlas Sea duology behind me here, it's going to be interconnected standalones. So this book is a complete adventure in and of itself. You don't have to read the next book if you don't want to, or you could just read the next book if it interests you and this one doesn't. So this is a standalone. It's complete on its own. Book 2 in the Empire of Vengeance duology is going to be a prequel sequel. It's going to take place 1,000 years before this book and details the fall of Anartia, and you learn a little bit about that in this book, but they are completely separate and there's no need to read both if you don't want to. This is one of my oldest books. I came up with this in 7th grade, which was the same year that I wrote Lightbringer for the first time, and it's been waiting 15 years from conception to publication. And this is fun fact, the first book I wrote that featured people as the main characters, the very first draft of Lightbringer had the mystical creatures that you find in Wisteria as the main characters. Sarah was like the only human character and she wasn't the main character. So this is the first book that I wrote where I set out to intentionally make human beings main characters, and it was basically history from there. Yeah, a little bit more about this book. This book does have steampunk elements. Those are the machines referred to in the blurb that patrol the capital. It is an epic fantasy. I say epic, meaning kind of the second definition of epic fantasy. So the world building is not like vast and all-encompassing like what you'd probably usually think about when you think about epic fantasy, but it's epic because the stakes are very high. There's literally world-ending stakes in this book. If the characters fail, the world ends, and I don't know what stakes are higher than that. I don't like distilling a book down to its tropes, but if they help readers find books that they want to read, then I do it. So the tropes that you can find in this book are dragons, rebels and resistances, an evil empire, an ancient evil. So there's slow burn romance. It's kind of sort of enemies to lovers. I don't describe it that way on my social media posts because the enemies part is only on the part of one of the characters. So only one of the characters involves thinks of the other character as their enemy. So I don't really call it enemies to lovers. It's not true enemies to lovers, but there is kind of that sort of element there. There's no spice, of course. The main male character, Leo, is a reluctant rebel, and Sky, the female main character, is morally gray. She definitely thinks that the end justifies the means. And one of the things I really like about these two characters and their dynamic and their relationship in this book is that they don't have the same view on morality. They don't both ascribe to the belief that the end justifies the means. And so they have lots of really kind of deep and interesting moral quandary sort of arguments. I personally love that kind of stuff. I know it's probably not for everybody, but I really liked being able to explore these kinds of issues with these two characters. And it's interesting as well to see that as the story goes on, each of their beliefs is challenged by the other and they kind of change what they believe a little bit too. As I mentioned, there are dragons. There's both mechanical machine dragons in the capital and real life dragons as well. One of those dragons is named Shebeleth. I had character art for commission. You can see it on my social media pages and I love how it turned out. And she is one of my favorite characters by far. She is sarcastic, snarky, loyal to a fault, and brutally honest. And she's the kind of friend that I wish that I had. The kind of friend that will just call you out on your crap, keep you accountable, like, You may not like everything she says, but you know that she means it, and you can always rely on her to be completely honest with you, and I think that level of honesty is rare because it makes people uncomfortable, but I love having her as a character in this book, and I can't wait for you all to meet her. So what do I mean by adult for this book, since this is my first adult fantasy? Not a great deal is different from my YA books, to be honest. So if you're worried that this book might be different in a bad way, I don't think you need to be worried. Basically, the main characters are adults, not teenagers. In my YA books, there are teenagers as the main characters, but the adult characters obviously play a big role in the story and you get their POVs. In my adult fantasies, all the characters are adults, at least the main characters. If there are characters that aren't adults, they're obviously not super involved in the story. This story focuses on adult characters. It deals with adult themes, so things might be a little darker. I think the biggest difference between my YA books and my adult fantasies in Beyond the Throne and all of my books moving forward is the violence. It's more violent than the other books. Every time I went to rewrite this book, that quote from Prince Caspian, the movie, came to mind. You may find Narnia a more savage place than you remember. In this case, it's Acadia, so you might find Acadia a more savage place than you remember. And that's kind of how my experience went every time I rewrote it. This is a dark book. It's probably one of my darkest in terms of subject matter and theme. You have characters that are living under an oppressive regime and they're struggling against that. And you see how brutal it is to live in this world. If I could pick any of my book worlds to visit or to live in, Acadia would not be it. It's cool to have dragons, but I would not want to live in this world. So it's a little rough. It's not what I would consider graphic or explicit. Everybody has their own opinions and thresholds for things like this, but I don't think it's particularly bad. I did put a list of trigger warnings on my ARC form, and that's closed now, but it's things like general fantasy violence. You have dragons, so dragons are going to attack people. You have swords, daggers, crossbows, explosives. People are killed in explosions, so that kind of violence. You have brief, in the past, references to physical assault, SA specifically. You have limb loss, which it's amputation in this case, and you have brief on-page torture. I think those are the trigger warnings for this. So if that's not something you want to read about, I totally understand. I don't think that any of these things are portrayed in an explicit, gratuitous manner, but they are in there. So that's basically how it differs from my YA books. It's darker, the themes are darker, more mature, not necessarily things teenagers would have to deal with, even in a fantasy setting, typically speaking. Then again, The Hunger Games is also YA, so I had this book as a YA book for a long time. Beyond the Throne, Lightbringer, and The Phoenix of the Crown were the big three in my mind. I referred to them as the big three fantasy books that I had, and then Beyond the Throne, when I rewrote it, I made it adult. And I think that was definitely a decision that was right. So all of my fantasy books moving forward are going to be adult. I do have an idea for 2 prequels for the Guardians Duology, and because that's YA, those prequels will be as well. But this is just where I'm going moving forward, and I'm so excited to share this book with you and hear what you think about it. Another thing that I do want to point out, some people when they hear adult, they think there might be spice or on-page sexual scenes in this book. There are not. There are not going to be any on-page scenes of that nature in any of my books moving forward. There might be references to it. For example, this kind of thing can lead to a motive for a murder mystery, and when I get to my historical mysteries, there might be references to things, but you will never see on-page explicit content of that nature in my books. Even if the characters are going to engage in that kind of behavior because they are adults, the reader's not invited. Sorry, not sorry. It's going to be either just flat out closed door or fade to black. That's all that you're going to get from me in terms of that kind of content. So if you're worried that my foray into adult literature is going to go that direction, it is not. I think that's all I have to share with you guys, other than the release date. It's May 31st. I almost forgot that again. I don't know why I forget that in my videos that I do about my books. I guess I just think people know it already, and maybe you do, but it's May 31st. Pre-order is up now if you're interested. If not, I totally understand. Not a problem at all. But if you do want to pre-order, it is in the link below. And if you have any questions about this book or my projects in general or just whatever, leave them in the comments down below. And I think that's all I have to say about this book. I really can't wait to share it with you guys. I can't wait to hear what people think about it. I really hope they like it. And if they don't, oh well. So there you have it. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. My name is Rachel Terry. I'm the author of 5 fantasy books, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!